Her new boyfriend unalived her toddler within the first week of dating him. Trigger warning. Josie was born July 25th, 2019 to her mom Lakeisha and her father Joseph, and she also had 3 older brothers. Josie was born prematurely and had a hole in her heart, but eventually that hole closed up and she was a happy, healthy child. By July of 2023, Lakeisha was dating a new man named Robert Fisher, who she had just met about a week prior. Lakeisha had just met Robert through his sister, who lived next door to Lakeisha and her children. Well, on July 6th, Lakeisha left her daughter home alone with her boyfriend Robert for the first time while she ran to Walmart to pick up a few things. So later that night, Lakeisha returned home from Walmart around 8 p.m. and found her daughter sleeping peacefully in her bed. So Lakeisha decided she would go to bed herself. But in the middle of the night, she woke up and found that Robert was no longer laying next to her. Lakeisha goes to the living room where she finds her boyfriend Robert laying naked on the couch scrolling his phone. So she grabs a towel and covers him up, doesn't ask any questions, and then she goes back to bed herself. So the next morning, Lakeisha got up and checked on Josie, and that was where she found her daughter laying lifeless in her bed. Josie was foaming out of her mouth, so Lakeisha quickly called 911, and when she pulled the covers back, there was blood everywhere. She also noticed that her daughter had these weird light blue marks all over her body. So first responders arrived on the scene, and Josie was rushed to First Albany Medical Center where she was pronounced dead. An examination showed that Josie tested positive for anxiety medication and had been viciously raped. They also found multiple Clorox wipes had been pushed up inside of her private parts. And there was some type of chemical found all over her body that was irritating her skin and causing those blue marks. When the police searched the home, they found bloody baby shark sheets in Josie's room, along with Robert's bloody underwear and countless other bloody towels and items. So Robert was arrested later that night on the scene after he tried to re-enter the home while detectives were investigating the crime, and he tried to interfere with their investigation. During Robert's police interview, it was discovered that he had drugged Josie by crushing up her mother's medication, putting it in her sippy cup, and making her drink it. He then proceeded to her as she was overdosing from all the anxiety medication he gave her. And instead of calling for help or 911, he just kept her. He then forcibly scrubbed her body down with Clorox wipes and shoved them up inside of her in an attempt to get rid of any male fluid or DNA. He had scrubbed her skin so hard with those Clorox wipes, he actually took the color out of her skin, and that was where those little blue dots came from. And just think, her mother was laying in the next room and had no idea what that monster was doing to her baby. Remember when I said Lakeisha found him laying naked on her couch scrolling through his phone, so she threw a towel over him? Well, it turns out he was deleting photos from this attack. Josie's funeral was held July 21st, 2023, just days before her birthday. So then a woman named Marianne came forward, and she said she'd known Robert and his family for decades. When Robert got paroled in 2021 for an attempted burglary charge, she thought that he was on the right path and offered him a place to stay. But Marianne said not long after he moved in, she caught him cornering a child in her home, so she called the police and had them remove him. Even though the police did come, they didn't charge Robert with anything, and people believe that he may have more victims. Josie's older brother said he always felt rather uneasy about his mom's new boyfriend, who he had just met in the days prior to his sister's murder. He said it felt like something was off with him from the first time I met him. It was like my mom was hypnotized or something because she was so deeply in love with him. I just thought it was really strange. Isha was not involved with her daughter's murder. She loved Josie, and she never thought Robert would do something like this. But I think parents should also be held accountable when things like this happen, because they're the ones who put their child in a dangerous situation. So initially, Robert was charged with first-degree murder, first-degree and obstruction of justice. There were so many people inside and outside the courtroom during his arraignment, and they wanted that ass. They were going to whoop him. So initially, Robert pled not guilty, but just 2 weeks before his trial was supposed to start, he changed his mind and took a plea deal. Robert pled guilty to second-degree murder and second-degree rape and was only sentenced to 20 years to life in prison with the possibility of parole. The judge said, "You are a threat to society. You show no remorse for what you did to Josie, and you'll never be fit to live in the community, and I hope any future parole board will deem you unfit for release." The judge asked Robert, "Do you have any words for the court?" And Robert muttered no. He did not apologize to Josie, her family, or his own family. He didn't show an ounce of remorse or sympathy. People were outraged because they knew he would go up for early parole within 5 to 10 years, and he would be released and walk free again. The punishment did not fit the crime, and everyone knew it. A lot of people felt like race played a role in Robert's plea deal. One person yelled, "That monster should never walk free. The courts are treating Josie like just another black girl." So Robert was sent to prison in September, but was just found dead in his cell this week. He'd only been in state prison for about a month before he was found dead. No details had been released yet, so I wonder, was this prison justice or did he unalive himself? Either way, ding dong, the witch is dead. Hey, it's just one less predator we have to worry about. Now let's all take a moment to remember 3-year-old Josefina. Josie was a confident little girl. She loved style, she was independent, and very intelligent. Josie's daycare teacher said she was a loving and caring child. She would come to daycare and pretend to be the teacher. She would line up her baby dolls and pretend to read to them and feed them. She had very nurturing qualities. Josie had a large vocabulary for a 3-year-old and was very well spoken. She could hold a conversation. Josie's brother wrote a beautiful article about her that you can find online. From the moment my little sister, Josefina Cunningham, entered this world, I knew she was extraordinary. She carried an otherworldly fragrance, and her presence was like a beacon of light. Born with a hole in her heart, she defied the odds when my prayers were answered and the hole miraculously healed. Josefina dreamed of becoming a firefighter, and our shared moments reading children's books and engaging in unforgettable conversations forged an unbreakable bond. Her brother works very hard on sharing her story in hopes of saving others and educating parents about who they bring around their children.